Shalom.
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 Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Hallelujah. So it's a wonderful day. In case you're not aware of it, what we're doing right now, since first fruits, Pesach, and what was the other thing? Unleavened bread, yes. Mm-hmm. Since those 3 feast days, we start counting 7 Shabbats. Plus 1. For, what are we waiting for? Pentecost. Shavuot. Feast of Weeks. All right? So, multiple names, but they all come to the same conclusion. It was the day that the Ruach visited. And now we have the presence of the Ruach on the planet with us and in us. Hallelujah. Helping us, aiding us. He's the helpmate, comforter. He's supposed to be enabling us to do what we couldn't do on our own. What is that? Keep Torah. Keep the law, statutes, and commandments. And then when we falter, we fall into what? Yeah, but grace. Because there is a moment of grace. Because if not, every time we messed up, somebody be getting shot, stoned, or thrown off the wall somewhere. But Yah has given us. That does not mean that we're supposed to trample over sin. So I want to talk to you today. I have something that has struck my ruach. I've watched, listened, and observed the medical field try their best, or are they lying to us? I'm not sure about this. Try their best to heal cancer. It's like, well, we know we can make it this, we can do this and do that. We can burn it out, or we can do all these different treatments, but we're not sure if it's going to come back. And then some you hear people say, I'm in remission, or it went away, it came back. I've been in a room with someone with cancer and watched them being healed from it. Spiritually, it was an eye-opener because I watched someone actually walk out the same way he walked in from the outside, but something occurred on the inside. It was like he felt something but didn't know what he felt, so he called the doctor, and they're like, "Oh, it's either dissolved or went away or was whatever." But he was healed. So something had just gotten to my spirit about one of these things that always seems to be in existence as far back as I can remember, and that's leprosy. So I want to talk to you about leprosy and finding the cure for leprosy. I know it's not like, oh man, I thought he was going to talk about something to make me shout and dance. I want to talk about leprosy. Do you know which country has the most leprosy?
No.
India?
India. Why do you think India has the most leprosy? Huh?
Your rivers.
The rivers?
They pagan.
They pagan?
Yes.
No.
What are you saying, Neil?
Worship their rivers, and they like all bathed in it, and they put their dead bodies right in the water right after they're bathed in it,
Ew.
thinking that that's like the savior or something.
So he says that they put their dead bodies in the river.
Yeah, you worship.
Isn't it amazing? The one place that you think of that has leprosy has the most idols.
Interesting.
Isn't that something? Idolatry to the core. So, what I like to do, if we can just take a few minutes, I would like to just visit a few people that had the opportunity, the privilege to have leprosy amongst them. Because that's not like... I remember as a child that when somebody had cancer, nobody talked about it. They'd be like, she got the big C. And you whisper it, the big C. I'd be like, I had no idea what cancer was until I got older. I'm like, man, these people are dropping off from this thing, this big C. Right? How do you cure leprosy? Has anyone seen any pictures of leprosy? Do you know what it looks like? What's it look like? Sores. Kind of goes. What else?
You lose the color in your
Flesh
skin.
is wearing off.
You what?
Lose the color in your skin.
Pigmentation.
New pigmentation.
Your pigmentation, the color.
And it smells too.
What is the thing that people say that we have?
Melanin.
You lose the melanin.
Didn't Moses' sister, and she was given leprosy when they were...
Like a gift, wasn't it? You said, wasn't Moses' sister given leprosy? We'll talk about her. We'll talk about it. We got a few people that we want to talk about. Somebody find the definition of leprosy, and the mark's right on it.
A chronic, curable infectious disease, mainly causing skin lesions and nerve damage.
Is that the same thing as albino?
No.
A little
Okay.
different.
Is it the same thing as albino? No. We have somebody that's albino in our gathering.
Matter of fact, when we Enoch said Noah was like that.
Noah was albino.
Okay.
Lit the place up when he walked in the room. Leprosy. Leprosy. What do you know about it? Somebody said that it stinks. Someone else said that wounds may have wounds on it. What does the book say about it? Because everybody got an opinion. Somebody's saying, well, it's this, or what someone else is saying, well, it's that. Let's read. Let's start out because let's just read up on leprosy. Numbers chapter 12. Bar Mitbar. Numbers. There's a reason why I wanted to talk about leprosy. I think that there's a lot of us that have a spiritual leprosy. That we have been plagued with something that's caused us to lose the reality of who we are. Go ahead, Mark.
Chapter 12.
Yes.
And Miriam,
We,
go ahead.
no, I don't want to go there yet. I don't want to go there. Leviticus
12.
Leviticus 13.
13.
We'll come back here.
I was there too.
You were there?
Yeah, I was there. You want me to start with verse 9 or verse 1?
Start verse 1.
And Yahweh spoke unto El Moshe and El Aaron, saying, when a man shall have in the skin of his flesh a rising, a scab, or bright spot, and it be in the skin of his flesh, like the plague of leprosy, then he shall be brought unto El Aaron the priest, or unto one of his sons the priest. And the priest shall look on the plague in the skin of the flesh, and when the hair in the plague is turned white, and the plague in sight be deeper than the skin of his flesh, it is a plague of leprosy.
Okay, so this is not just skin deep. This is beyond the skin level. So imagine the priest as the doctor. He has to examine you. He has to cut into you to see how deep is your love? How deep does it go? Is it only skin deep, or is it deeper? And so he's cutting into you, and he's finding that is below skin level. That it's not like, you scrape your knees if you fall. You scrape your knees and you cut down to the bone. It look white down in there, right? But then it ends up scabbing up, and then when it comes back, the color comes back. Everything comes back to its normal. It may have a scar there, but your color comes back. Imagine if you cut and you don't see any melanin in the skin. There's something's wrong here. Come on.
If the bright spot be white in the skin of his flesh, and in the sight be not deeper than the skin, and the hair thereof be not turned white, then the priest shall shut up him that has the plague 7 days. And the priest shall look on him the 7th day, and behold, if the plague in his sight be at a stay, and the plague spread not in the skin, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days more.
Okay, so our magic number is 7. I told you every Shabbat from now until Pentecost will have something significant to do with 7. And so this one is talking about healing, but the healing has to take place in 7 days. If it hasn't, then we move forward. Where are we at? Verse 6.
And the priest shall look on him again the 7th day, and behold, if the plague be somewhat dark, and the plague spread not in the skin, the priest shall pronounce him clean.
This was twice. That's 14 days, because he looked at him 7 days and came back again in verse 6, another 7 days. He was doing 7-day cycles.
But if the scab spread much abroad in the skin, after that he has been seen of the priest for his cleansing, he shall be seen of the priest again. And if the priest see that, behold, the scab spreads in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is leprosy. When the plague of leprosy is in a man, then he shall be brought unto the priest, and the priest shall see him, and behold, if the rising be white in the skin, and it have turned the hair white, and there be quick raw flesh in the rising, it is an old leprosy in the skin of his flesh. And the priest shall pronounce him unclean, and shall not shut him up, for he is unclean. And if a leprosy break out abroad in the skin, and the leprosy cover all the skin of him that has the plague, from his head even to his foot, wheresoever the priest looks, then the priest shall consider, and behold, if the leprosy have covered all his flesh, he shall pronounce him clean that has the plague. It is it is all turned white, he is clean. But when raw flesh appears in him, he shall be unclean, and the priest shall see the raw flesh and pronounce him to be unclean, for the raw flesh is unclean. It is a leprosy. Or if the raw flesh turn again and be changed unto white, he shall come unto the priest, and the priest shall see him. And behold, if the plague be turned into white, then the priest shall pronounce him clean that has the plague. He is clean. The flesh also, in which even the skin thereof was a boil. The flesh also, in which even the skin thereof was a boil and is healed. And in the place of the boil there be a white rising, or a bright spot, white and somewhat reddish, and it be showed to the priest. And if when the priest sees it, behold, it be in sight lower than the skin, and the hair thereof be turned white, the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague of leprosy broken out of the boil.
So he's painting a picture. Now, I can't even imagine, like, I've been black all my life, brown.
Really?
I can't imagine being all white, like losing all of my color. This, and if you look it up, Google it, you're going to see, type in leprosy and look at some of the images, and you'll see people they've lost all color, turned completely white. Here is talking about their hair even turning white, straight white, like,
Paper.
huh?
Like paper white.
Yeah. So you've lost all color. Now this is important. This is important because only one person has ever demonstrated leprosy and was able to turn it off and on. Everybody know who that was. Moses. He had leprosy in his hands. He could put his hands in his cloak and pull it out, a leopard white hand.
Wasn't there another one too, a soldier that also
Naming the leper. But he was plagued with it. Moses was shown it by Yah.
And we'll talk about Naaman later. But we will talk about him.
That
This
was for the Pharisee, right?
right.
Naaman?
Pharaoh. No,
No, Moses. You mean.
Moses.
Moses.
Yeah.
He had to show him.
You're right. Not just to Pharaoh. He showed it to his people as well.
When they were,
So all the demonstrations that Moses had, like, here we go back to Marvel, all his superpowers, he could turn off and on at will, drop his staff, turn it into a snake. At will, pull his hand out and turn it white, glowing, like Marvel, glowing, right? So he had that ability because y'all gave it to him. Whenever, and I want to paint this picture because you have to see the big picture. The big picture is that this is a black population.
Right.
Everybody black. Moses black. His people black. The Egyptians black. Everybody black. So if they saw something white in the crowd, they were like, oh, something wrong. And you would have to figure out what's going on. Is that person clean or is he not? Does he have this disease? This leprosy? All right.
Where we at?
And I want to bring that to your attention because we're going to go to a spot where Yeshua heals these leopards. But no one talks about it. It's like everybody's like afraid to mention. But let's talk about it. So you got all these black people, and then there's one person that turns white and they've got a problem. They have to find out if he's clean. And the priest has given the information on this to determine whether this person is clean or not clean. All right.
verse,
I don't know where we at, guys.
I was like around 18 and
Let's start at 18 then. Let's
the
see.
flesh also the flesh also, in which even in the skin thereof was a boil and is healed. And in the place of the boil there be a white rising or a bright spot, white and somewhat reddish, and it be showed to the priest. And if when the priest sees it, behold, it be in sight lower than the skin, and the hair thereof be turned white, the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague of leprosy broken out of the boil. But if the priest look on it, and behold, there be no white hairs therein, and if it be not lower than the skin, but he be somewhat dark, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days. And if it spread much abroad the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague. But if the bright spot stay in his place and spread not, it is a burning boil, and the priest shall pronounce him clean. Or if there be any flesh in the skin, whereof there is a hot burning, and the quick flesh that burns have a white bright spot, somewhat reddish or white, then the priest shall look upon it, and behold, if the hair in the bright spot be turned white, and it be in sight deeper than the skin, it is a leprosy broken out of the burning. Wherefore the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague of leprosy. But if the priest look on it, and behold, there be no white hair in the bright spot, and it be no lower than the other skin, but be somewhat dark, there the priest shall shut him up 7 days. And the priest shall look upon him the 7th day, and if it be spread much abroad in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague of leprosy. And if the bright spot stay in his place, and spread not in the skin, but it be somewhat dark, it is a rising of the burning, and the priest shall pronounce him clean, for it is an inflammation of the burning.
And so you would actually be able to have someone that had leprosy still with a light skin in the congregation, in the group, once the priest has already determined that the person is clean.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about color, but it's about color. Because everybody that's white is not wrong or bad or evil. All right? So, but the people in the congregation or in the group or in the tribe, they would know. Like, I can't walk out. Did anybody ever see that? I saw it. It was a satire movie called The Watermelon Man. And the man got up and ran outside and went out for his run. And he was was he white and turned black? Yeah, he was white. Yeah. And he ran outside. He didn't realize he was black. And he was running down the street and he was black. And he's waving at everybody. And they were looking at him like, what you doing in this neighborhood? This is back in the day. This is a long time ago. You see that?
God from Cambridge.
Yes.
29.
29.
If a man or woman have a plague upon the head or the beard, then the priest shall see the plague, and behold, if it be in sight deeper than the skin, and there be in it a yellow thin hair, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a dry scald, even a leprosy upon the head or beard.
I know this sounds crazy when you hear it, but I had alopecia. Is that how you pronounce it? Alopecia. And throughout my whole body, my hair fell out in spots. Left me with this wonderful hairline, right? But when it started coming back, in my head, it would come back yellow. I had blonde hair. I know. I was unclean. Only where the needle was shot, because I was taking needles that were supposed to be reactivating the nerves. So I actually saw little yellow hair coming out. Like, this ain't good. So yeah, you can see this kind of stuff happening. All right, that was personal testimony.
If a man or woman have a plague upon the head or the beard, the priest shall see the plague, and behold, if it be in sight deeper than the skin, and there be in it the yellow thin hair, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a dry scald, even a leprosy upon the head or beard. And if the priest look on the plague of the scald, and behold, it be not in sight deeper than the skin, and that there is no black hair in it, then the priest shall shut up him that has the plague of the scald 7 days. And in the 7th day the priest shall look on the plague, and behold, if the scald spread not, and there be in it no yellow hair, and the scald be not in sight deeper than the skin, he shall be shaven. But the scald shall he not shave, and the priest shall shut up him that has the scald 7 days more. And in the 7th day the priest shall look on the scald, and behold, if the scald be not spread in the skin, nor be in sight deeper than the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him clean, and he shall wash his clothes and be clean. But if the scald spread much in the skin after his cleansing, then the priest shall look on him, and behold, if the scald shall be spread in the skin, the priest shall not seek for yellow hair, he is unclean. But if the scald be in his sight as a stay, and that there is black hair grown up therein, the scald is healed, he is clean, and the priest shall pronounce him clean. If a man also or a woman have in the skin of their flesh bright spots, even white bright spots, then the priest shall look, and behold, if the bright spots in the skin of their flesh be darkish white, it is a freckled spot that grows in the skin, he is clean. And a man whose hair is fallen off his head, he is bald, yet he is clean. And he that has his hair fallen off from the part of his head toward his face, he is forehead bald, yet he is clean.
Whoa, why are you laughing over there? Hey, I'm clean. That touched a couple nerves, didn't it? Forehead bald.
And if there be in the bald head or bald forehead a white reddish sore, it is a leprosy sprung up in his bald head or his bald forehead. Then the priest shall look upon it, and behold, if the rising of the sore be whitish red in his bald head, or in his bald forehead, as the leprosy appears in the skin of the flesh, he is a leprous man, he is unclean. The priest shall pronounce him utterly unclean. His plague is in his head, and the leper in whom the plague is, his clothes shall be rent and his head bare, and he shall put a covering upon his upper lip, and shall cry,
Unclean, unclean.
All the days wherein the plague shall be in him, he shall be defiled, he is unclean. He shall dwell alone, without the camp shall his habitation be. The garment also that the plague of leprosy is in, whether it be a woolen garment or a linen garment, whether it be in the warp or woof of linen or of woolen, whether in a skin or in anything made of skin. And if the plague be greenish or reddish in the garment or in the skin, either in the warp or in the woof or in anything of skin, it is a plague of leprosy, and shall be showed unto the priest.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a break for a second, because that's a lot of reading.
A lot of leprosy.
A lot of leprosy.
In and of.
And I just want to bring this to your attention. We never use tainted garments for warfare, because there's a people that do that. We would never give a clothing that we know has leprosy in it to someone to wear and say with a smile, friend, neighbor, here, wear this, knowing that it would kill them. That's the United States. That's what we're...
No smallpox blanket for you.
That we would do that, huh? Syphilis. Mm-hmm. Oh. You have a checkered past how dare you even to claim somebody else is a terrorist when you terrorize every day? Watching you as you walk down the aisle because you might steal something when they steal every day. Don't get me started. Yes. Okay. All right. Sorry, you gotta go.
Get started earlier.
We'll get started earlier. Yeah, we will get started earlier. I have to finish my message, and we'll talk.
Yes, I'll give you a call.
Okay. All right. Any questions? Take down notes. Bring them back, and we'll talk about it next week.
Thank you.
All right. Shalom. Where we at?
50.
50?
And the priest shall look upon the plague and shut up it that has the plague 7 days. And he shall look on the plague on the 7th day. If the plague be spread in his garment, either in the warp or in the woof or in the skin or in any work that is made of skin, the plague is a fretting leprosy. It is unclean. He shall therefore burn that garment, whether warp or woof, in woolen or in linen, or anything of skin wherein the plague is, for it is a fretting leprosy. It shall be burnt in the fire. And if the priest shall look, and behold, the plague be not spread in the garment, either in the warp or in the woof or in anything of skin, then the priest shall command that they wash the thing wherein the plague is, and he shall shut it up 7 days more. And the priest shall look on the plague after that it is washed, and behold, if the plague have not changed his color, and the plague be not spread, it is unclean. You shall burn it in the fire. It is fret inward, whether it be bare within or without. And if the priest look, and behold, the plague be somewhat dark, after the washing of it, then he shall rend it out of the garment, or out of the skin, or out of the warp, or out of the woof. And if it appear still in the garment, either in the warp, or in the woof, or in anything of the skin, it is a spreading plague. You shall burn that wherein the plague is with fire. And the garment, either warp or woof, or whatsoever thing of skin it be, which you shall wash, if the plague be departed from them, then it shall be washed the second time, and shall be clean. This is the Torah of the plague of leprosy in a garment of woolen or linen, either in the warp or woof or anything of skins, to pronounce it clean or to pronounce it unclean.
Now, see, this. I understand where you're coming from, y'all, but if I saw leprosy and I knew it was there and the person had clothing on, I think I just burn it. Why chance it, right? But y'all, it's like, for whatever reason, he says, you know what? Wash it and see if it goes, like, okay. And the next chapter talks about the house. And the house having leprosy in it. Burn it. Well, okay, you can't burn it because the book doesn't say burn it. It says to examine it, and if you find the bricks in it, and the one or two bricks have it, and you cut it out, and then put new plaster on the walls. Okay, I'm not moving into the house. Leprosy.
Leprosy in the wall? That's crazy. That must be like a real bad
It's like mold.
thing, though. Like,
Yeah, it's like mold. Yeah, I guess that's a perfect example of it. Because I couldn't understand what leprosy looked like in a house. Like,
right.
what would that?
Mold.
Unless it's mold. And you can wash it, or you can paint over it, or you like. Okay, I take option B. Burn it. But this was the law, And I guess if everybody burned everything that they had, they wouldn't have anything. And some people were too poor to let all their stuff get thrown away just because they had a little thing called leprosy. All right, let's go to Numbers. I just wanted to, I know it was a lot of reading, but it's the backdrop to what leprosy really is. You get a better picture of it now. It was the skin losing all of its melanin. That your hair was turning white or yellow. It was not just skin deep. It was it was totally removed from your body. All right. 12.
Verse 12.
This is a short one.
And Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moshe because of the Cushite woman whom he had married, for he had married a Cushite woman.
Okay, so we know the Cushite is Ethiopian, right? So here he goes. Moses decides,
Chapter
That he-
12.
chapter 12. Moses decides that he's going to marry this woman. And it's not like he didn't already have a wife, right? He's just adding to his harem. Just to let you know, Moses had more than one wife. Somebody may be confused.
And they said, has Yahweh indeed spoken only by Moshe? Has he not spoken also by us? And Yahweh heard it. Now the man, Moshe, was very meek above all the men which were upon the face of the earth. And Yahweh spoke suddenly unto El Moshe, and unto El Aaron, and unto Miriam. Come out ye three unto the tabernacle of the assembly. And they three came out. And Yahweh came down in the pillar of the cloud, and stood in the door of the tabernacle, and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth. And he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, Yahweh, will make myself known unto him in a vision, and will speak unto him in a dream. My servant Moshe is not so, who is faithful in all my house. With him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches. And the similitude of Yahweh shall he behold. Wherefore, then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses?
Okay, hold on. We painting this picture now. If you read through the Exodus account before they left, you have full chapters of each plague just about. It's like a whole chapter on the plague of flies and the plague of this and the plague of this and the plague of this. Who was given the instructions? Moses has a track record of talking to Yah and Yah saying, Moses, I want you to do this. I want you, I don't want to really, I don't have the speech. I can't really articulate everything you want me to say. He says, all right, send Aaron. The two of you, I want you to go and do this. And so Moses, even though he tried to back out, he couldn't back out. And Yah and him had a one-on-one relationship. Now, with all of your teachers that are true, that you believe are truly teachers, that have been given the word, been called by Yah to speak to his people, don't be a Miriam. You should take a moment and think before you react. These two should have stopped and thought about this before they put their mouth to Moses. He's like, wait a minute. Is he the only one that's speaking for God? I can speak. Like, whoa. Immediately. immediately, Yah was like, "Uh-oh, no, no, no. You're not doing this to Moshe. Moshe and I, we tight. We talk face to face, mouth to mouth. And you got the nerve? So, warning to Zion. If y'all speaking through me or other mores, be careful how you so quickly pass judgment and speak against them. I said there's leprosy in the camp. There's leprosy because we don't see the fast movement of Yah. You don't see him coming down in the cloud and him causing you to turn to a leopard. So you're like, I'm good. Be careful because Yah sometimes moves like that. And sometimes it's not in your timing, but you'll find the disaster coming your way in a way least expected. All right. So Yah says, I got to do something about this. Shows up immediately and said, come here. All three of you, come here. I got to talk to you. All right.
Where you at?
I don't know.
Oh,
7.
my servant Moshe is not so, who is faithful in all my house. With him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches. And the similitude of Yahweh shall he behold. Wherefore, then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? I should say, wherefore then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? And the anger of Yahweh was kindled against them, and he departed, and the cloud departed from off the tabernacle. And behold, Miriam became leprous, white as snow. And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. And Aaron said unto Moshe, alas, my Lord, I beseech you, lay not the sin upon us, wherein we have done foolishly, and wherein we have sinned. Let her not be as one dead, of whom the flesh is half consumed when he come out of his mother's womb. And Moshe cried unto El Yahweh, saying, heal her now, O El, I beseech you. And Yahweh said unto Moshe,
Wait a minute. You got to be a bad dude. He's like, he's talking to daddy, and he's like, heal her now. But he had a relationship where he could address him as such. He's like,
Was she struck with leprosy because they spoke against him?
yes.
Okay.
And that was the two of them. And this is how this thing unfolded. 2 spoke against them, 1 got the immediate curse. Because you didn't get cursed don't mean that you okay. Because y'all pointed to the 2 and said, you know what? He was so ticked off that he just walked away. And then she realized that, whoa, what in the world's happened? He says, I'm leaving, but I'm taking your melanin with me. That's bad. It's like, whoa. All of a sudden, you lost your tan. Moses knew what was coming next. Moshe. He's like, oh, stop, because the next step is death. All right. Let's go. 14.
and Yahweh said unto Moshe, if her father had but spit in her face, should she not be ashamed 7 days? Let her be shut out from the camp 7 days, and after that let her be received again. And Miriam was shut out from the camp 7 days. And the people journeyed not till Miriam was brought in again. And afterward the people removed from Katsaroth and pitched in the wilderness of Paran.
So there's the little story of disobedience and staying in your lane. Get out. Shut up. Even if Moshe was wrong, shut up, because he's a special anointed servant of Yah, and Yah's like, you know what? I got a special plan for him. You didn't even think hard, like it didn't bother you to talk about him so easily. It should bother you when you talk about a servant of Yah. Know your facts. And if you're true to your facts, shut up. Because you may be pronouncing or saying, sharing a false testimony. Because you think something. Like even if I see wrong, I have to think twice before I open my mouth. Anyway, that was point A. So how do you get healed from leprosy? Yah healed her, and I thought 7 was so unique because he says, you know what? She gonna feel this for a week. We're gonna make sure she feels this for 7 days, just like the priest said you had to wait 7 days for healing. Yah said, let me step down and act like a man for a minute and make you wait for 7 days. Because he could have just healed her right away. He said, think about this. Think about that. All right. The first healing. Let's look at the second one. 2 Kings, chapter 5. There's way too much on leprosy to try to get it all. Someone talked about this guy earlier because as soon as you bring up leprosy, people think about at least these 2 stories. It's getting warm in here. Someone else want to read, or Mark, you good? You good? All right. Chapter 5. Now Naaman.
Now Naaman, y'all still looking for it?
7:37.
2 Kings.
Chapter 5.
Let me know when y'all right. Y'all got it?
Yeah.
All right, we on.
Now Naaman, captain of the host of the king of Aram, was a great man with his master and honorable because by him Yahweh had given deliverance unto Aram. He was also a mighty man in valor, but he was a leper. And the Arameans had gone out by companies and had brought away captive out of the land of Yisra'el a little maid, and she waited on Naaman's woman.
Now, let's back up for a second. When you see the word mighty man, you almost want to put in there Superman, because he was doing some mighty works. Okay, so you're going to see this over and over again when you're speaking on some of Yah's people. They were mighty men of valor.
And no one knew he was a leopard except for the maiden that took care of him.
I don't know.
And the Arameans had gone out by companies and had brought away captive out of the land of Yisra'el a little maid, and she waited on Naaman's woman. She said unto her mistress, would to Elohim, my Lord, were the prophet that is in Shamron, for he would recover him of his leprosy. And one went in and told his Lord, saying, thus and thus said the maid that is of the land of Yisra'el. And the king of Aram said, go to, Go, and I will send a sefer unto the king of Yisra'el. And he departed and took with him 10 talents of silver and 6,000 pieces of gold and 10 changes of raiment. And he brought the sefer to the king of Yisra'el, saying, Now, when this sefer is come unto you, behold, I have therewith sent Naaman my servant unto you, that you may recover him of his leprosy. And it came to pass when the king of Yisrael had read the sefer that he rent his clothes and said, Am I Elohim to kill and to make alive, that this man sends unto me to recover a man of his leprosy? Wherefore consider, I pray you, and see how he seeks a quarrel against me. And it was so, when Elisha, the man of Elohim, had heard that the king of Yisrael had rent his clothes, that he sent to the king, saying, Wherefore have you rent your clothes? Let him come now to me, and he shall know that there is a prophet in Yisrael. So Naaman came with his horses and with his chariot, and stood at the door of the house of Elisha. And Elisha sent a messenger unto him, saying, Go, and wash in the garden 7 times, and your flesh shall come again unto you, or shall come again to you, and you shall be clean. But Naaman was wroth, and went away, and said, Behold, I thought he would surely come out to me, and stand, and call on the name of Yahweh Eloheinu, and strike his hand over the place, and recover the leper. Are not Abana and Parpar, rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Yasharel? May I not wash in them and be clean? So he turned and went away in a rage.
Now see, this super guy, this Superman that has done valiant work on the battlefield was expecting something astronomical to happen. Like, I expect him to come and, I don't know, touch me or do something special. He told me to go wash in some dirty water.